Okay. Good morning. It's 6:39 a.m. January 6th, Tuesday morning, and today is usually the last day of the Christmas season. This was the day that we made sure in the house that all of our Christmas decorations were taken down. This is how the tradition was when I was a little kid. But anyway, some people like to keep their Christmas decorations up longer than that, but I just always remembered that date. So anyway, I'm here. I got up early this morning, and I'm thinking about, you know, um, I think what I deal with when I first wake up in the morning is the devastation of what happened, with the behavior of people and acting very savage. When I think of how people thought that they were defending the Christian faith by participating in criminal activity, it blows my mind. When I think of Christ, okay, Christianity or Christians are supposed to be imitating Jesus Christ, right? They're supposed to be following in the footsteps of Jesus Christ. They used to have these bumper stickers, as silly as they were, the what would Jesus do? This was supposed to prompt these people to remember that how they handle life situations should be in alignment with how, the Christ was supposed to have handled things. Oftentimes people intuitively or instinctively go towards tactics of anger or competition or bullying, okay? And I know that Jesus was devoid of any of that. This is surprising to a lot of people that I never participated in any sort of now, when I say retaliation, I mean I would never blacklist somebody. I would never damage somebody. But I do have to stand up for myself, okay? When you are dealing with things like human trafficking, gang stalking, people, coming together, to try to attack people. And like I said, there was people who attacked me in different religions. It didn't make sense to do that through different religions because everybody knows that all these different even though they're considered Christian, they are not the same. Okay, a Methodist is not the same as a Catholic. A Baptist is not the same as a Lutheran. A LDS Mormon is not the same as Jehovah's Witnesses, so on and so forth, okay? And some religions, specifically like Jehovah's Witnesses, have always made it a point to stay separate, to not involve themselves with the other Christian religions because they believe that they were correct. Now, some Christian religions believe that they are specifically the one or the religion to belong to, and they, look down on other religions. So what this was just a bunch of people coming together and trying to bully a person, and it is very, very devastating to me because I can't. It's okay. It's like, I always felt comfortable living in the United States, right? I always felt comfortable living in the United States because I know that it was based on the freedom of religion. And unfortunately, I took it for granted that I would see, because I understood what the United States stood for, and this was taught back in grade school, and it was reinforced like in high school and so on and so forth. So I seriously believed that everybody, right, everybody here in the United States knew at least that and acted accordingly to that. But see, I now see that that is not true, okay? A lot of people don't even know what Christianity is as a definition. They don't even know what the tenets of their real religion are. Some people are just acting on instructions. Some people are just, followers, whatever, okay? What went on in this community is absolutely devastating to me because what it was is just basically a war, and people, using a religion as an excuse for bullying a person. And many high-profile people got involved in this, and they were doing it because of reasons that they should not have, okay? So, of course, when you understand the severity of this, because some of these people, they got themselves in really bad situations, okay? And what they were doing was they were upset every time I would call them out. I was trying to call them out for one last time. Each time I stood up for myself, I was hoping that would be the last time I had to do it, right? I was hoping that, like, for example, there was a door greeter at Walmart that I thought was kind of rude and condescending, and I called them out. Okay, I wanted people to understand that that was not proper behavior. I did nothing to warrant that. I was aware that this was a community harassment issue, and it needed to stop, okay? And then you deal with these little people who pipe up every once in a while being stupid, right? And so it needs to stop, especially since they don't have any basis for it. But it continued to happen. Okay, and then I had mentioned this last thing that disturbed me with the bank transaction. That bank transaction was the last straw. It was the part that just like, and the reason why it was the last straw is because how invasive can you be? How invasive can you be? A bank account is supposed to be, private. It's supposed to be secure. One of the things that, when you sign up to financial institutions, whether it's a bank or credit union, what makes people feel comfortable is that their money is supposed to be safe, okay? And no, just because a person is your family member, okay, does not give them access to your account, okay? Whether they're, they have to be named on your account. Not one of these people had any authorization to have anything to do with my account. So it caused me trauma to see that happen. It caused me trauma to reach out to a bank representative who happened to be on city council and did not get any closure of it. It caused me trauma after that happened, right? And it made me feel like, my God, this town is filled with criminals. Okay, so this is the reason why I started making, addressing, organizations like the FBI, the CIA, because I know that if you are dealing with this kind of targeting, people who created or instigated the targeting are going to try to get people in higher positions, just like Karen Go, city council, and all these other people. And oftentimes they use exaggerations like, I'm such a bad person and I did this, 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 and this, and this, okay? Like I said, when you hear people making up things, okay, if I did something that bad, it should have been recognized and handled by a legal system. Okay, nothing I did. Okay, let's just say, for example, and I want you guys to understand this. If somebody is doing something that goes outside the tenets of your religion, like let's just say, for example, your religion, right, doesn't believe in people wearing polka dots. I'm using this as an example, okay? There's nothing wrong with polka dots, but I can't think of anything else, okay? Your religion doesn't believe in wearing polka dots, right? And then you notice a girl who is wearing polka dots. And you ask her, hey, you're wearing polka dots, and and then you guys get in a little bit of a conversation, and you find out that she is of a religion that venerates, like, polka dots. Polka dots are great, polka dots are, life. She thinks they're just the wonderful thing, right? And so people might get irritated because she's walking around in polka dots, and then they might do something stupid like call the police, okay? The police are not supposed to get involved in religious issues. If obviously, right there, the discussion should end right there, because her religion approves of polka dots, and we live here in the United States where we have freedom of religion. So that girl should just walk down the street in peace without being bothered, because polka dots are fine with her religion. Now, if you guys are in the same religion, and you might want to remind her, I guess, since she is a part of your spiritual family, since she consented to being a part of your spiritual family, and she's well aware of the rules, you, I guess, would say, oh, I'm surprised you're wearing polka dots because that's against our faith, right? And then she might rethink that and decide to put something else on, okay? Or if she was being defiant and said, screw you, then you would probably take it to one of your leaders within your church to have the issue resolved, okay? That's how it should work, okay? This is what I'm not supposed to adhere to the tenets of anybody's religion if I didn't agree to it. And that's according to the United States, okay? Now, when I think of people like Jesus, right? Jesus was always approached by the people who were more traditionalist than anything else. And they often had observances in doctrines or things that Jesus did not necessarily think were important. So they would sit there and corner him and ask him about it, because wasn't thumbing down their belief system. He just knew that it was not required for your salvation. It is not something that is honored, respected, or required by God. This might be something that might be important to your culture, because maybe you might come from let's just say, for example, you're Filipino. You're Filipino, and this is something important within your culture. Somebody started something, whether that be a tradition of dress, a tradition of manner, a tradition of song or petition or whatever, okay, that is important to your group of people. But as far as Jesus, or, how, is it important? Is it valid? Is it like something that's supposed to, help you with your salvation or something along those lines? The answer is no. It's only important to you or your little group of people. Okay, so then this is what upset the people, because Jesus had all of these great skills, all of these great abilities, and what they wanted him to do was they wanted to see Jesus practicing, worshiping like they do. But the fact of the matter is, Jesus did not have those sort of limitations. And this frustrated people, because it's like, if you're doing this, then I must be wrong. And that's not what, I don't believe Jesus felt that way. To me, if you are going into prayer or you're connecting with the divine, do so in the most comfortable manner that you can. If you feel as though, some people feel more comfortable praying outside, some people feel more comfortable praying inside, right? And if that's how you feel, do what makes you comfortable, okay? But some things are not a requirement. And it's these things that have become based on arguments. These are the things that are consistently argued among people. You know what I mean? And really, it shouldn't be. Because, like I said, if somebody's more comfortable, praying outside, or some people are more comfortable praying inside, that's your choice. And it's not supposed to be debated. It shouldn't be debated. It shouldn't, and what I see a lot of immature people, very immature people, that I can't deal with, okay? Now, when it comes to marijuana, I do believe that marijuana is a divine gift. It's a plant. Okay. Now I've met Christians, right, who now some religions, right, they have what they have each sometimes each Sunday, sometimes each month, but they have what they call a how they pass the bread and wine across, like, the congregation, and everybody partakes of it. In some congregations, they might use wine. In some congregations, they might substitute it for with grape juice or something else, okay? Some people are very, very careful about alcohol, okay? Now, Jesus himself drank alcohol, okay? And there's proof of that in the Bible, okay? But still, some people do not like the idea of alcohol because it can be an addictive thing, right? And the one thing that people fear is to be like an alcoholic. So that might be one of the reasons why, okay? But there's nothing wrong. There's talk in the Bible about Jesus being at festivals, wedding celebrations, where they're passing around wine. So to me, that tells me that there's nothing wrong with wine. But if somebody overindulges in wine, then that would be a problem. And only you can decide whether you're overindulging or not. If you're drinking every day, do you have some sort of struggle with it? Okay. But some religions, some Christian denominations, when I say Christian denominations, that means there's a lot of people who identify as Christian, but some people go by the name of Baptist. Some people say they're Mormon. Some are Methodist. Some are whatever. All of these people, their center focus is supposed to be Christ, right? So when it comes to alcohol, okay, I've known some people who are okay. They might have wine at communion. Some people might have wine at special occasions. Some people have wine. Some people in Europe have wine at dinner, and even the kids do, okay? So it depends on how you look at it. It's based on your tradition. It's based on your tradition and how that gets incorporated into your spirituality. Now, I talked about marijuana as something that I do recognize as a spiritual gift. And, I'm angry that a lot of childish people spread this around the community. It was not anything that I was advertising, but people were spying on me and gossiping, because this is what they do. But in the context of work, I find these people highly annoying, highly childish. Why? Because, nobody asked for that little investigation. That's nobody's business. Okay. And I feel like, that it's childish to exploit it. And what it has to do with people doing things that go outside of their work duties. And for this reason, I don't respect it. I don't respect, and then I don't respect them doing their little collaboration, bullying. Like I said, the bank transaction thing, that credit union transaction thing was the last straw. That was it, okay? Because that to me was like, you can't justify that. You cannot justify it under any circumstances. You do not touch things that are personal, and there was no reason for it. And like I said, if this was supposed to be done on behalf of Bruce Collins, okay, how dare you stand up for that person? Bruce Collins is not somebody who should have been respected or assisted in any way at all, okay? So the message I'm getting right now is that I am free to be recognized as a single and successful woman. Now, see, the reason is that I don't see why I find it offensive that Bruce was interested in absorbing my Swan Song manifesto. It's because it's not his story. It's my story, okay? And I know that he was claiming that he was against me smoking marijuana, but the truth be told is Jim Culligan, who was one of my family members many years ago, he smoked weed. Bruce smoked weed. Me and Bruce used to do acid together. Me and Bruce used to smoke weed together, okay? So he is a hypocrite. He's a hypocrite, plain and simple, okay? So what it is a lot of people have what they call professional jealousy, okay? And a lot of people are obsessed with their titles, obsessed with their profession, and not even the fact that they even do good jobs in their profession. They just want to have a title to be impressive, okay? And so people realized that I had skills and talents, and they felt jealous and they felt competitive. This is not how you compete, nor is it legal to compete in that manner, okay? It is not legal to compete in that manner, okay? And so, creating problems for me financially. These people were very bold to get into my bank account. Like I said, I'm dealing with trauma. I wake up at night terrified because people would actually do something like that, right? People would actually think that it was okay to get into somebody else's bank account, okay? And they're not even on the account. When you open a bank account, you can designate who has authorization to get into your account. Okay, so there's a lot of criminal behavior that goes on, and a lot of mind control, and a lot of mental illness, I would say, because there's no way in the world an adult should convince themselves that any of that was right. Okay, and yes, I do deal with trauma. I'm traumatized that somebody would actually do that. Okay, and this is the reason why I get up early in the morning and talk about it, because, like I said, I came here to this community by myself, and then I ended up, everything that happened to me was based on outside intrusion that I never asked for. I never asked for. Like coming down to the Bakersfield in 2000. I came here in the year 2000 by myself. And then I had people coming in following me, the Gordons, the Kids of 533, the Collins clan, and they have caused nothing but problems. This is all their fault, every single last bit of it. And yeah, so anyway, I hope that will never happen again. I want to go on with my life. I do get the intuitive feeling, and I talked about this issue before, that many deaths occurred. And the reason why these deaths occurred, I'll tell you why, is because they did not follow employment law. Okay, they did not follow employment law, and this is why I'm saying, when people don't follow the law, okay, the laws are written for a reason, and it ended up hurting them because they ignored employment law. They thought that they could somehow bypass that, and there were not going to be any consequences. There's always consequences when you do that. Okay, so people used to say stupid stuff like, oh, and I don't like that word, politically correct. That's kind of an old term, that used to be used in the 90s. This is what people used to say when they would get upset when they had to be polite to other people. Oh, yeah, I don't like these being politically correct, okay? It's not about that. It's like, okay, like, for example, what happened with my hair at Murray Family Farms, okay? Number one, you should know not to do stuff that's rude. Your mom should have told you, you don't say things that are impolite. Mind your own business. They were entirely too intrusive. Okay. Black women do a lot of different things with our hair, and we do it for convenience. I would say a lot of us have different hairstyles that we are kind of, I would say a lot of our hair styles and changes are required, okay? Because if you're a black woman and you do your hair a certain way all the time, okay? Like, for example, I used to put relaxers on my hair, or I would part my hair in a certain way. And I noticed that if I continually had it parted that way for a long time, I would deal with hair loss. So I would have to switch it up. There's all kinds of things that go on with our hair. As a matter of fact, in the military, black men sometimes are excused from shaving because our hair textures are different, and our hair, like the facial hair, grows differently on black men, which can create like these bumps on our face, right? Because our hair is not the same as European hair, right? And so the way that we groom is different than what white people how they groom. Okay, that does not mean that we're flawed. It's just this is our way of managing our hair. Our hair is different. Okay, so when you expect black people to do our hair like white people, then this is what creates problems, right? Okay, so anyway, there's different kinds of black hairstyles. So I started, experimenting with my hairstyles, I would say in 2006, and this is what I've come up with, okay? And I feel as though what these people were doing, a lot of women were getting jealous and bullying me and mistreating me and acting as if, my wig was against, what do you call it? My wig should be completely acceptable. I should not be, oh, well, she should only work here because she wears a wig. My hair is supposed to be accepted as hair, period. Okay, it's not supposed to be like, oh, well, she should work over here because it's like I dealt with the most stupidest people in the world. Okay, and the message I'm getting right now is that I live peacefully, joyously, and free. So, I don't see where wigs are against other people's religion. I do know wigs do come up in some religions, okay? And most of the time when they talk about women who wear wigs, like, for example, I know Muslims, for example, and I'm not Muslim, but they're Muslims who are talking about women who wear wigs. And they have exceptions for women who wear wigs. If a woman wears a wig, usually it's supposed to replace her hair. Okay, so like, for example, I would say my hairstyle, my half wigs or whatever, replaces or actually looks like my hair. And why I say this is because my hair used to be a lot thicker, and it's about the same length that I would keep my hair. If I was to wear like a wig that, like let's say, for example, I bought like a blonde, long, red-headed wig, okay? Obviously, it completely deviates from what my hair actually looks like. So I would say that the hairstyle that I have looks like my hair, okay? And so that's what would be advised. Why? Because I think it has something to do with not being overly extravagant according to the Muslim faith, okay? I do know that Hasidic Jews also wear wigs, okay? But see, women with cancer wear wigs. People who deal with hair loss wear wigs. And I would say I wear wigs mainly because of hair loss issues, okay? Maintaining my hair. I deal with a lot of hair breakage. And then also my back of my hair is very, very thick, and I don't like dealing with it. So, and that's a personal issue. It is no one's business. So I think what people were doing was they were trying to act like, well, we need to figure out where we need to put Maria because she wears a wig. And that was like, it was unnecessary. It was a form of harassment because it's nobody's business. I should be able to walk into anywhere, whether that be a store, or whatever, and it should just be accepted as my regular hair. And see, this is why I brought about, not the main reason, because I would say when it comes to discriminatory laws, I fall under a lot of those categories, okay? I'm a woman of color. I'm a single woman. When it comes to women, it does mention women's hairstyles, okay? And this is, like I said, this is the reason why I freaked out after leaving Murray Family Farms, because I figured people knew this, okay? I figured if you were like a manager, or you were like somebody who was associated with SHRM, or you were somebody who, had any sort of business sense, that you would know that. Okay, so that's why I was very disturbed. And then after dealing with the stalking, you know, it was absolutely ridiculous. The message I'm getting right now is that marijuana is regarded as a natural gift from the divine. And it is. It is, okay, but not everybody is going to accept it that way, okay? And also, marijuana to me is a private issue. That's something I do in the privacy of my home. And I really resent the immature people who are sitting here talking about it. And to me, it sounds foolish, and I disrespect these people. I have no respect for them. The message I'm getting right now is that I am at peace with the Bakersfield employers, that it was helpful for me to address the LDS Church. The LDS Church, you know, and I talked about how I dealt with trauma from the LDS Church, and the LDS Church caused me a lot of trauma because of their power and their influence. They used their power and their influence to create this problem in my life. And obviously, you know, when it comes to the LDS, they have doctrines, right, that they fully believe in. And, you know, I can't say that I agree with their doctrines, okay? And like I said, I accept the fact that they have their doctrines, right? I accept it, and I move on. I don't need to sit here and attack their doctrines. Even I only attack them when they try to enforce them on me, okay? And that's what I'm saying is it's unacceptable. It's unacceptable for you to, you know, maybe look at you have to understand that you belong to a certain lifestyle, okay? Your church, if women aren't allowed to wear polka dots, or you're not allowed to drink wine or whatever, that's the group or the tradition that you belong to. Whether you belong to that group because your parents were into it and you just followed it, or you decided to convert to that religion, that is what you believe in. That's what you agree to. But other people have the right to believe other things. They have the right to believe other things. And so, yes, the message I have is that I don't live for anybody other than myself. You know what I mean? I don't live for anyone other than myself. I don't have anyone in my life other than myself. Okay, and of course my son, right? But I expect my son to have a life of his own one day. He should have had a life of his own for a very long time. Okay, but it's always these groups, always these people. And it's like, you know, when I look at these people and I see the kind of nonsense they do at their job on company time, getting paid to harass other people, it's very, very annoying to me. It's shocking to me, okay? People do like my political views, and a lot of people do want me to have some sort of role in politics. Right now, I don't even know what I'm doing every day. I feel as though the LDS Church created so much problems. I don't know what kind of steps I'm supposed to take. I don't know how I'm supposed to, or where I'm supposed to go. What am I supposed to do? How do I go about looking for? I'm confused, okay, because these people, and the message I'm getting right now is something about me addressing the CIA. I am at peace with the CIA, and the Bible covering many of my incarnations, and something about, okay, I left a message for a girl. Now, this message is coming up in my mind. I left a message for a girl named Savannah. And this was over at a bank, right? And I left a message for, oh God, I don't know. I think it was like one of the main bigwigs over at a bank, okay? And, you know, the thing is, I don't know if she relayed the message, but when I did talk to her, you know, when I talk to these representatives who answer the phone, okay, I always become very frustrated with them because, you know, it's like you're asking them to relay a message and they act like, oh, I don't know who this person is, or I don't know if, you know, if he's taking calls, or I don't know. It's like, to me, you're either unprofessional or you're a part of some sort of gang stalking plot, okay? If you work for a company, you should know who the HR representative is. You should know who's doing the hiring. You should be able to forward messages, and you should be able to provide email addresses. You should be able to provide email addresses, okay? This is how people follow up effectively, okay? Like, you know, if I was, like, for example, let's just say, for example, I applied for a job at Indeed.com, right? And then I call the company and I say, well, who does the hiring? They should be able to tell you who does the hiring, Okay, they should be able to tell you who does the hiring. And then if I say, well, I'd like to leave them a message and I would also like to leave them an email, then they should be able to look it up in their company directory and give you that information. Okay, and I dealt with so much stagnation from these different companies because they were either trying to block me or whatever. The ultimate decision is the person who makes that decision. Okay, so you are required, don't care what your religion is, your personal opinion is. Okay, the ultimate person who makes that decision is the hiring manager. So when you call, they're supposed to transfer you over to the hiring manager or give you the contact details if necessary, okay? And I've dealt with a lot of these people who just want to create barriers for people, and it's unnecessary. Do your freaking job. That is your job, to follow directions, not based on, you're not supposed to be using your religion, using your religious views at your job. You're not supposed to. So let's just say, for example, I call over to, I don't know, a company that I applied for. And maybe a Mormon person answers the phone. And I say, hey, I need to talk to the hiring manager. And the Mormon's like, oh, they know good and well that they don't like me because I smoke marijuana, okay? They don't like me because they smoke marijuana. They want to sit there and serve as some sort of block, some sort of barrier, okay? But that goes against company policy. If I apply for the job, then I'm supposed to be forwarded to the hiring manager regardless. Do your frickin' job. Okay, and it's the hiring manager that decides that. Now, let's just say, for example, I get hired at that job. And while I'm at that job, that same kid who happens to be LDS, right, he might try to cause problems for me because, hey, I'm not a Mormon. But, being, number one, my marijuana issue is not causing problems at the workplace because I'm not smoking marijuana at work. You know what I mean? And I would say when it comes to people of different religions, I communicate well. Like if that kid's name was like John, okay, I would say, good morning, John. And if John needed something, then I would make sure that, okay. And same thing, John needs something from me, a report or something, then I make sure that I'm accommodating to John, okay. But if he play by those rules because he's constantly, upset because I don't go to his LDS church, well, then that's a problem because your religion does not belong in the workplace. It just doesn't. Okay? So this is what I'm telling people. Why these people fail in their professions or their jobs is because they play games and they break the law. They break the law, okay? When it says religion discrimination, that's exactly what it is. You do not bring your religion and make company decisions based on your religion, period. Okay, the message I'm getting right now is that I know more than so-called educated people. My soul tribe is assisting with my job search. I would really, really appreciate that. I did look for a little work yesterday. There was very little posted on Indeed.com. Maybe Indeed.com is starting to take the hint and understand that they should not be posting fake job ads. Okay? Fake job ads, that's another thing. Fake job ads, okay? If you're really Christ-like, you would not post a fake job ad. You know why? Because Christ was honest, okay? Christ was somebody who wanted to soothe and make the human existence better, easier, okay? And what you guys do is just nonsense, okay? There is nothing Christ-like about your stupid game, okay? What it is you're just evil, period, okay? So fake job ads, right? Fake job ads in the context of, using your religion as an excuse to glorify Jesus or some absurd thing like that is bullshit. And you know it. You know it, okay? So like I said, stop calling this Christianity. Stop calling your illegal behavior Christianity. Stop acting as if you're doing something that's winning you brownie points for the heaven, okay? Because you're not, okay? So anyway, yeah, that was my little rant today. And then people acknowledge the fact, yes, I am a good dress. I like to dress well. I believe in dressing well. I've always believed that this is how you're supposed to present yourself professionally. There is no other way to present yourself professionally. I only wear slacks, dresses, skirts, nice professional clothes in the workplace, okay? And that's the kind of place I belong, period. Okay, or and of course I do wear jeans, and I do like to wear a nice shirt with my clothes. But see, I always knew growing up that you're supposed to dress accordingly to wherever you go. Okay, so if I was going to, let's just say, I don't go to church, but if I did go to church, I would wear a nice dress to church. Okay, because when I was growing up, people did wear nice clothes to church. Women wore their finest, and I don't go to church. Okay, but if I did, that I would dress differently than I would at work. I remember there was a lady who one time she wore this really pretty yellow dress to work, right? And it was very pretty. And I remember looking at it and telling her and complimenting her on it. And she said, I feel kind of overdressed today. She goes, I actually wear this. I got this dress for church. And I thought, oh, okay. But she did look nice in it. And it did look a little bit, like, wow, that's really nice. But, for the office. But, whatever, it made her happy. But I'm just saying is, back in my day, church was where we wore your best. You wore your Sunday, they call that old term, your Sunday best, like your nice clothes, okay? Some people might go overboard with it. Some people, whatever. But, you dress a little bit nicer, okay? When it comes to the office, there are certain things that I believe are office attire. Like, I wear slacks, I wear skirts, I wear cardigans, I wear sweaters, I wear, a long time ago, women used to wear nylons, okay? Nylons are no longer, worn, but many years ago, I remember working at a company where, not only did they expect us to wear only dresses and skirts, but we had to wear nylons. Okay? And so I'm old school. So when I dress nice for work, I'm just old school, and I do believe in the old school. You know why? Because, when I go into certain companies, right, people look more professional. They look like they're going to be taken more seriously. I take people more seriously when they're dressed up in professional clothes than they are wearing sweats. I don't really take you seriously when you're wearing sweats at work, okay? Unless, of course, you work in a warehouse or something. But, yeah, I do believe in professional attire. Okay. So, anyway, I think that's about it. I have to come in here and talk about my feelings, especially when I wake up. I say the trauma of what happened in my targeting affects me in the middle of the night, and it usually affects me in the morning. Okay? Because, like I said, what happened was not supposed to happen. And it was very shocking to me, very disturbing to me, and I deal with a lot of my flashbacks of dealing with this odd thing of being abused in the workplace, and because I'm somebody who understands that that's not supposed to happen, it affects me that way, because it's like, it's like somebody putting a gun to my head in the context of work, and that shouldn't happen. So like I said, going back to employment laws, these laws are written for a reason. And if this never happened, if this would have never happened if people followed the rules, and so I'm going to always follow the rules. I'm never going to deviate from that. I am a true professional in every way, shape, and form. Okay, I present myself professionally. I act professionally. I correspond professionally. Everything. I do everything correctly. And I'm tired of dealing with everyone's problems. Okay, I deserve to work. I deserve to have a job. I deserve to keep my job instead of dealing with this nightmare trauma and drama. Okay, and that's it. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to wrap up this video. Thanks for listening.